Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Black Maternal Health in your neighborhood as we celebrate Black Breastfeeding Week 2025. This year's theme is Boots on the Ground, rooted in breastfeeding success, grounded in community support. I'm Milan Spencer, the Associate Director of Workforce Development and Partnerships here at BMHIYN, and I'm so honored to be in conversation today with two amazing guests from the African American Breastfeeding Network. Dalvery Blackwell, co-founder and executive director, and Shay, Landry, a community lactation advocate with a deep passion for supporting mothers through their breastfeeding journeys. Black Maternal Health in Your Neighborhood is BMMA's digital conversation series spotlighting the leaders, organizations, and movements driving change in Black maternal health across the diaspora. Each conversation uplifts community-rooted solutions from policy to practice that center the voices of Black mamas, birthing people, and the advocates working alongside them. Whether it's mental health, breastfeeding, or mobilizing for equitable care, this series is about bringing the work happening on the ground to the global stage. You can follow our guests on Instagram at AAB Network and learn more about their work at aabnetwork.org. A little housekeeping. Today, we'll do our best to answer audience questions if time permits, so feel free to drop any thoughts or questions in the comments as we go. Now, if this is your first time joining us, we're so glad you're here. The Black Mamas Matter Alliance, or simply BMMA Inc., is a global network of Black women-led and Black-led birth and reproductive justice organizations and multidisciplinary professionals working across the full spectrum of maternal and reproductive health to ensure that all Black mamas have the rights, respect, and resources to thrive before, during, and after pregnancy. You can learn more about Black Mamas Matter at blackmamasmatter.org and stay connected with us on all platforms at Black Mamas Matter. With that, let's meet today's incredible guests and dive into the conversation. First up, we have Dalvery Blackwell. Dalvery is the executive director and co-founder of the African American Breastfeeding Network. She is a certified lactation consultant and holds a bachelor's degree in journalism and communications. Through her leadership and vision, AABN has built deep goodwill in the community and has been recognized and featured in local, state, and national media and reports. Next, we have Shay Landry. Shay's passion for breastfeeding began when her son was born and first latched. Since then, she has made it her mission to raise awareness and educate others on the advantages of breastfeeding. Through AABN, she now serves as a vital community resource, helping build a legacy of empowered mothers. Together, they are part of a thriving community-based organization whose work centers the Black experience in reproductive health, offering services including doula-assisted birth, infant feeding support, and pregnancy and infant loss care. So let's start off. Let's start by grounding ourselves in the work. Hi, Dalvery and Shay. Can you tell us about AABN and what Boots on the Ground community lactation support looks like in your day-to-day efforts in Milwaukee?
Hello, and I'm thrilled to be here. Happy Black Breastfeeding Week. We're so excited. We've been working all month long, celebrating all month long. Our organization is a 16-year-old organization. We're primarily located in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Our mission impact is to promote maternal and infant health and to champion breastfeeding equity. And we do this through the lens, of course, of centering the community, creating educational and community-driven services and opportunities. And so really happy to be here. And this is just an amazing opportunity for my organization. The second part of your question was, how do we boots on the ground? What does that mean? What is that like for day to day for AABN? I just want to start off by talking a little bit about our community breastfeeding specialists. We have two of them right now. Shay serves as the breastfeeding coordinator. Our breastfeeding specialists and Shay, they live in the community in which they serve. And that's very important so that they can stay rooted and grounded in the community and to see elements in the community that they can lift up to promote, support, and protect breastfeeding. Collectively, we have over 10 years experience, and our breastfeeding support services is anywhere, everywhere, every day, 24/7. So what does that mean? When we receive calls from families, from women, from people in the community who have questions or who are struggling with breastfeeding, we have a 24-hour response. And so we reach out, we may go into the homes to do a home visit. We also may counsel over the phone. We are a diaper hub through our United Way partnership. So oftentimes families also come to get supplies, but also to get diapers, but also to get breastfeeding supply services as well. I do want to mention some of the breastfeeding services that we have. Our hallmark of AABN that we started from day one in 2008 when we started was our community breastfeeding gatherings. And our community breastfeeding gatherings were designed not just for peer-to-peer support, but for network of support, or who in that person's family is important that needs to be informed in her champion of breastfeeding. So these our classes are hybrid. We offer them every month. On the third Saturday of the month and the second Thursday of the month. Our virtual one is the Thursday one. And we also offer a mama and baby lactation visit here at our offices at Sojourner Family Peace Center on Walnut Street in Milwaukee, where mothers in the postpartum period can simply call us and say, you know, I'm struggling with breastfeeding. I really need someone to talk to. And so they can make an appointment to see myself or Shay to discuss some of the issues that they have and hopefully help resolve some of those issues. This year, we created the postpartum transition and breastfeeding class. It is a virtual class, and the primary purpose of that class is to create a safe space for those who are expressing milk or providing human milk to their babies and have questions about pumping, returning back to work, continuing to build their milk supply. So those are just some of the day-to-day offerings that we have through the African American Breastfeeding Network.
Thank you, Dalvery. So beautiful, such impactful work, and truly a testament to being boots on the ground. Thank you for that. And next, we know breastfeeding journeys are so deeply personal, but also shaped by community and systems. So how does AABN support Black families in navigating and fulfilling their chosen feeding goals, especially at times when access to care and culturally responsive support is so often shaped by inequities?
For our work, it's critically important to lift up and to support individuals in the community who have a passion to support other people and other women who wish to provide human milk and to breastfeed with their babies. So we provide training, we provide support. I would like to refer to Shay to talk a little bit about her involvement with AABN and how she got started.
Yeah, so one of the things that I want to add to what you just said about that is that obviously the goal is to support moms in their journey of breastfeeding, but also to support moms that decide that that's not the way that they want to nurture their babies, and support them through what that journey looks like too. And for me personally, when I was receiving services through AABN, I always knew that I wanted to breastfeed. I took courses before I had my baby. And the minute my son was born, everything that I learned in those courses pretty much went out the window because your brain is just not thinking in that way. But once he latched, I knew it was something that I wanted to master. And I knew that that was, if I could control it, the only way I wanted to nurture my baby and any future babies. And with working with my doula, Tony, she's amazing with our organization. She was able to really help me and get me the support that I needed to make breastfeeding as seamless as possible, helping me to realize that it should not be painful, that there is no pressure to feed your freezer, to have this huge supply. And AABN was just vital in making that process feasible and doable for me and making it so that I could continue it. It's truly been amazing.
I do want to add to our philosophy has always been some breastfeeding is better than no breastfeeding. So we don't believe in the actions of or response that you have to breastfeed your baby exclusively for 6 weeks. 3 days of breastfeeding is better than no days of breastfeeding. 3 weeks of breastfeeding is better than none. Our goal is to make sure that the mom and baby diet have a positive breastfeeding experience. That's really important to us. Sometimes we work with families who would like to do both formula feed and breastfeed. Our services are provided and available free of charge as long as the mom is providing human milk feeding.
Thank you both for that. And I'm so glad you've uplifted that feeding choice is really at the core of what you do. So it's not necessarily all about breastfeeding and making the choice to feed that way. It's all about, having the autonomy to be supported in whatever choice you make. And I think that that's really important for our audience to hear. I also know that with my first experience, I used to call it a failure. I do not call it a failure anymore, but I did not. I gave my son breast milk for about the first 2 months, and then I was an exclusive pumper. And then things just the rubber went off the road from that point. But I did not have a lot of support, but that is what championed me for being a lactation justice advocate at this point. So I do call that journey very much a success. I wouldn't be here without understanding the need for having that support. And that being said, I know, Shay, you mentioned the doula support. This year's theme is all about being rooted in success and grounded in community. Your work in AABN expands beyond lactation support. So you mentioned doula care services, bringing the whole family in, those who need support. So how do your doula care, family services, and your broader perinatal work support and sustain breastfeeding success for Black families, especially in supporting feeding choice prior to delivery?
Thing where we see a lot of our success, and that is making sure that we're connecting with the moms early on in the process. For me personally, since I've started working with AABN, what I'm finding out is that a lot of people in our community don't even know what a doula is or what their scope of work is, it's heartbreaking to me because my doula was I wouldn't have survived the first few months, especially without my doula. And I didn't get my doula until 3 days before I had my son, basically, because A, he came early, and B, I wasn't made aware of how impactful having a doula could be. And so I didn't really have any urgency behind it. And then once I had my experience with my doula, I realized that that's something that everyone should at least know about and have the opportunity to tap into. So I feel like with AABN, it's mainly just connecting with the moms and the families before, and as early as possible, to try to be proactive in any issues or challenges that the family may face. Also to promote any advantages that they may be unaware of, to help them just on the right foot with their journey. One of the biggest things that I love about AABN is that there's a huge movement to involve dads, to involve the fathers in the work that we're doing. Often in the research that I'm seeing, hearing about, learning about, dad is often describing his experience as being in the background, especially when it comes to breastfeeding exclusively where there's no bottles or anything involved. And so what AABN does is tries to work with the family directly, hands-on, to show dad different ways that he can be involved in that journey, and ways he can help, even if it's just bringing mama some water, bringing her a snack, helping making sure the pillows are positioned correctly. Really, that kind of helps to make everything full circle. and basing all of that off of what are the goals for the parents, what is the goal for the family as a unit, and making sure that we approach it with that at the forefront.
And I would just like to add, thank you so much for sharing that and for giving us a huge shout out, Shay. I really appreciate that. So we have two, we have two groups. We have the doulas, the community-based doulas, and we have our community breastfeeding specialists. We know that initiation rate is at around 62% for African-American mothers who initiate breastfeeding in the hospital. When they discharge from the hospital and go back into their communities and go back into their homes and their workplaces, that's where we see a drop off and a drastic decrease in the continuation and exclusivity of breastfeeding. We're piloting a new approach now where both the doula and the breastfeeding community breastfeeding specialist works together in collaboration from the very start. And AABN has always been committed to early perinatal support. As soon as the mom finds out that she's pregnant, we want to get her into services. We want to prepare her with a community-based breastfeeding specialist as well as with a doula. So they work together from the very beginning to support that mom, to ensure that she's supported prenatally at birth and then up postpartum as long as she's breastfeeding. And we're really excited about this opportunity to increase exclusivity and duration among Black women.
That's so great. I am a proponent of connecting the workforce together to be able to collaborate and partnership in support and success of the client. And you all adding that as your model, I think is so important. And I'm so deeply proud of you all for doing that, because and recognizing that that is something that is necessary. Not all doulas have a lactation background or a lactation educator background. So connecting those two workforce titles and roles is deeply important. So I definitely really want to give you all kudos for that. We've kind of gone into village support and what that looks like. And we talk often about it takes a village to have a successful journey. Shay, you mentioned like bringing partners and dads in. I know when I was on my journey, it was a complete in-house family and extended family venture. Folks were getting me snacks. I would, there was a designated burping person. It takes everyone to be able to support the person who is nursing or breastfeeding. But for Black families, the village does not always show up in the same way. And not everyone has access to the same family structure, the same family village. So what role do your peer groups, your baby cafés, community support circles play in filling those gaps and helping families feel seen, feel supported, and informed in their breastfeeding journeys?
I think the first and most important role is creating a safe space where we can talk authentically and openly about our breastfeeding. I've been in this work for over 10 years, for over a decade. And what breastfeeding was when I first started was primarily Caucasian. And I'm so happy of all the movements and the work that's been done globally, but also nationally in the United States. We have changed the paradigm of breastfeeding support and what that looks like for us. So first of all, I think it creates a beautiful, safe space to also co-create programs and services and to bring in those cultural nuances and norms that we need for supportive breastfeeding.
I want to add to that too. I think personally, the peer group, community support circles, those really kind of allowed me a space to talk about my breastfeeding experience a little bit more comfortably, right? Like talking to my husband is one thing, but he's my husband. He also does not have breasts that are making milk. So it's only so far that he can understand and relate. My mother, and I love my mother. We're very close. I can talk to her pretty much about everything, but she's got that protective barrier that sometimes can be hard to get through to connect about certain challenges. Also, I think what some people in our community don't have that. They don't have a partner. They don't have their mothers there to provide even a little bit of support. And what AABN is able to do is give a little bit of that to fill that gap. A lot of the feedback that we get from mothers, from the doulas, especially with Dalvery, is that our mothers feel like they're with their sisters, their aunts, their cousins, their mom. We try to create that space because, again, like a lot of people don't have that type of support. And also, one of the main things that we try to focus on with working with our moms or just the families in general is validation, really validating what these families are experiencing and their struggles, and meeting them where they're at, and being okay with saying, like, yes, I went through that too, being able to relate to them. And it creates a safeness, it creates a comfort that allows a lot of the moms to get through the barriers that they're facing, that they typically probably couldn't face as easily if they had to do it alone. So that's at least what I'm experiencing with that.
Yeah, you both. Yeah, absolutely. I think, especially when we talk about support groups, baby cafes, um, breastfeeding journeys can feel very lonely, especially in the beginning when you are up in the middle of the night with your baby and you look over at your partner. I told my husband one time, your nipples are worthless.
Yeah.
You have worthless nipples, and it's very frustrating to feel alone. And also when you are struggling in your journey, it's helpful to connect with others to let you know you're not alone, and the things that you're experiencing is common, and other folks are experiencing it as well, and you can lean on one another. And I think that is deeply important for a lasting journey, where you don't drive yourself crazy just feeling very isolated. So thank you for that. So let's go into talking about your exciting event coming up at the end of Black Breastfeeding Week. Can you share what folks can expect from your Boots on the Ground event and how it ties into your larger mission of community-rooted care?
Yeah, so our Boots on the Ground event, I'm so excited to be a part of this. It is an event that we're hosting right in the middle of our community, right in the heart of it, where we will have a space. It's at a park. There's a playground there for the children. There will be food cooked by one of the best people to get on the grill in the city. And there will be so many resources there for moms and their babies, for breastfeeding, just for kind of leisure. Like, we have things for mom just to celebrate her, to make her feel good. We also have the resource of conversation. We will be having kind of like a group conversation, group discussion, but also being able to break off and have very kind of individualized conversations with our lactation specialists and the rest of our staff, to hopefully address any challenges that moms are having when it comes to infant nutrition, and also just see if there's anything that our moms need, because a lot of times we're able to help them get what they need, and it's just an opportunity for us to let people know that we're here, we're in the community. It's a way for us to celebrate the many improvements that we are seeing in Black maternal health, and the wins that we're seeing every single day, that we may not be able to display publicly like here, but we're seeing them. And we know that the Boots on the Ground, the song, is very popular with the line dance, and it's very relevant to what we're doing right now. We totally have our boots on the ground with breastfeeding, and to celebrate that, we made these custom fans. Now, you got to excuse me because I don't necessarily know the best way to work these, but these are our African American Breastfeeding Network fans. Kind of, I don't know how to get the blur out, but this is what we'll be using to celebrate our first Boots on the Ground event. We'll be out there doing our line dance, and the AABN staff will have our fans, and we're super excited about this. We're getting a lot of feedback from the community that it's just a way to connect to the people in our city. So that's what Boots on the Ground is about. And if you're in the area, definitely check out that link, tap into that QR code, and we want to see you Saturday.
Absolutely. And I just want to add that to bring this full circle, boots on the ground is really about going to where places where people are. You know how we hang out in parks. We also out at festivals, at youth festivities, at youth sporting events. So this is an opportunity for us to bring this work into the community at this beautiful park, where we're just going to gather and just talk about the things that really matter to our families when it comes to not only human milk feeding, but it might also be introducing the first food or the lack of access to healthy food choices in our community. So we're looking forward to a very engaged conversation. We had an NIH site visit this week. And we brought these fans because we wanted our doulas to take pictures to promote this event on August 30th. But our visitors from NIH, when they saw these fans, they asked if they could purchase them, and we sold 4 of them to the visitors, and they were truly just excited about what we're doing and how we're bringing this engagement to our community. So we're really excited about it.
And NIH, she does mean National Institute of Health.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you so much, the both of you. So really quick, there was a question. I wanted to see if you all had thoughts on supporting breastfeeding in workspaces and if that's something that you all talk about with your clients, any policies that you let them know about or facilities in place, especially in the Milwaukee area that help parents or working parents continue to breastfeed.
Mhm.
And also, do you have conversations about what maternity leave looks like and going back to work? Just really quick. That was a question.
Absolutely. Our postpartum and transitions is a hybrid class where we focus on all the things you just mentioned. I actually facilitate the workshop or the class, and it talks about how do you bring it all together to return to work and to maintain your milk supply.
Yes, and it's great for also just kind of making sure that you know what your rights are when you go back to work or school or whatever it may be, and the safe ways to handle your milk while you're in those environments, and how to make sure that you're able to maintain that supply with going back and taking care of business, because most of us, we do have the burden of going back to work pretty early. So,
and unfortunately, still most places don't provide accommodations for mothers who are expressing milk, especially in communities of color. So really helping mothers advocate for themselves, and how do they approach their supervisor about a place to pump and how often they need to pump. So really lifting up the promotion and the awareness of when you support a working family, you get a better outcome and a more happier employee.
Yes, and that course really helped me with my other, with my job that I'm no longer at, but I was still there and having to pump. And that course really just kind of helped me to understand what my rights were and how to communicate what I needed early on to the employer, how to do that and protect myself and my position. So highly recommend. Gloria, you can sign up for that class if you want to get all the ins and outs.
Thank you. Thank you both so much. And I appreciate you answering that question. Thank you for sharing your time, Dalvery and Shay, your stories and your powerful work in the community-based breastfeeding support arena. To everyone watching, whether you're a parent, a policymaker, a provider, family member, a partner, know that this work does require all of us. The success of Black breastfeeding journeys is not just about individual choice, it is about collective support and systems that honor those choices. So before we close out, we want to uplift one more important event happening tomorrow as part of Black Breastfeeding Week, Centering Community in Breastfeeding Research. This is happening tomorrow, Friday, August 29th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be on Zoom. This is a dynamic webinar where leaders and experts in Black maternal and infant health will be sharing research findings and strategies for culturally informed breastfeeding interventions that advance equity and improve outcomes for Black families, moderated by our very own Dr. Ayanna Robinson, who is the Director of Research and Evaluation here at BMMA. Participants are eligible to receive 1.5 contact hours approved by our joint CE-CEU agency, PACLAC. Thank you so much, PACLAC, for sponsoring. You can register for this webinar right now at bit.ly/BMMA-BBW. You can also learn more about the African American Breastfeeding Network, again, at aabnetwork.org. And please do follow them on Instagram at AAB Network. Be sure to check out their upcoming event, Boots on the Ground, happening this Saturday, August 30th, if you are in the Milwaukee area. And also their Lift Up Every Baby on Saturday, September 6th. Also, please do go and explore their virtual and in-person breastfeeding classes and additional resources online. Of course, to stay connected with BMMA, visit blackmamasmatter.org. Follow us across platforms at Black Mamas Matter and subscribe to our newsletter to stay engaged with our work year-round. And don't forget to use the following hashtags, especially this week, Black Breastfeeding Week 2025, hashtag BBW25, hashtag Boots on the Ground, hashtag Black Breastfeeding Week. And we will see you next time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Thank you both.
Nice. That was awesome. I think we did good.